Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 4 of the card making countdown, where I'm sharing a new Cricut card making project with you every day for 14 days. Today we're making intricate and beautiful backgrounds with our Cricut machine. In the first half of this video, I'll show how you can make this pre-designed card with the lovely flowers around the edge and frame in the middle. The middle of the frame is left blank, so you can add whatever greeting or picture you want into the middle. Then in the second part of the video, I'll show how you can use your own images to make card fronts in this style so that you're not just limited to the one pre-made one that I've created for you, but you can make this for any occasion or theme that you want. Let's get started. This project is part of the 2026 card making countdown. Download the cut files for free for the first 24 hours after this video goes live using the links in the video description or by visiting craftwithsarah.com/cards26. After 24 hours, the cut files for this project can be purchased from craftwithsarah.com/cards26 files. Or get the entire card making countdown plus loads of extra bonus files from craftwithsarah.com/cards26 bundle. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into your cutting machine software. For instructions on how to do this, visit craftwithsarah.com/help and choose Cricut, Silhouette or Scan and Cut. Within there are dedicated help guides on topics such as how to upload SVGs, how to modify them to make custom projects, framing tips, and how to cut cardstock with your type of machine. If you have any questions, email hello@craftwithsarah.com. Now, on with today's project. This is what the pre-made card design looks like loaded into Cricut Design Space. There's not really a lot you need to change on this, but there are some things you may wish to do. For example, to add a score line down the middle of the base card to make it easier to fold. To do that, click on the design and ungroup it using the button at the top of the Layers panel. I'm going to click and drag the base card over to the side to make it easier to see what we're doing. Go into Shapes and choose a score line. Set the size to 7 inches and then rotate it 90 degrees so that it's a horizontal line. Drag a box that touches the score line and the base card and press align and then vertical and horizontal. That will put the score line exactly in the middle. Then with those two layers still selected, press attach at the bottom of the layers panel. Attach is what tells the Cricut we want it to do the scoring in that exact place. This would then be ready for me to cut out. If you want to make a simpler card, you may wish to reduce the number of colours. You could keep it really simple and just go for 2 by hiding all of the layers apart from the bottom blue one and the top white one on top. And then you could change that to whatever colour you wanted. That would make your card much thinner so it would be more affordable for posting. It also gives more attention to whatever you put in the middle of the design with a bit more of a subtle coloured background. You could also choose to just add some of the coloured layers in to add a little bit of extra interest, but without all of the bulk and the weight of having all the different colours. But I am going to be cutting mine as is, so let's turn those back on and change that back to blue. For the middle of the frame, you could use some stamps or embellishments or toppers that you already have in your craft stash. You could add a drawn sentiment in there, like the sentiments that I included in the day 3 project for this craft countdown. You could type something out there yourself. You could put an image in there. You could put a little layered design, whatever you want to do. I'm going to select a greeting from Cricut Access to put in the middle, I think. So we'll do that. I'll go into images and let's do, can't spell, let's do a thank you card. This design is nice because it will work for a variety of different themes such as birthdays, Mother's Day, thank you cards, best wishes, just for you. It's got hearts on it, so it could even be a wedding card or an engagement card. There are lots of different things you could do with it. When you're looking for words in Cricut, you want to find ones where all the letters are touching. That means they're all cut as one piece. That is huge. So this would be a good one to choose because all of the blue letters are all touching, so that would cut from one bit of cardstock, and then the green underneath would cut from another bit. You can change the colours to match in with the design a bit more, and then you could either put it so it's right in the middle, or you can overlap it a little bit with the frame to make it a bit bolder and more obvious. Try to select designs where the letters are fairly thick as well, so that your Cricut is able to cut it out nice and easily from cardstock. I'm going to keep looking. Also very big. I wonder if that's a bug in Design Space or if they are actually just gluing in it almost 30 inches wide. I like that one. I think the swirls fit nicely and the nice rounded letters fit the vibe of the rest of the design of the card. So I think I'm going to go with that one. And change that to the red, and then I'm going to use a silver for this grey colour. So let's change that to the same. I think that will look nice with the red on the silver background. And then I'll cut my bits in the middle from gold, and that will also be the colour of these flowers. I think from looking at it, I've actually got a little problem with the file, that I've accidentally done them wrong, and that's its own colour, which I have, but it was supposed to be that gold, so I'll make sure that's fixed before you get the file. So you've got the gold shining through the flowers, and then the gold of the frame, and then the little circles will be silver, and these little flowers and bits will be silver too. I'm not a fan at the moment of all these teeny tiny gaps that are appearing in the letters in that silver part. I think I'm going to take them out and it will look better. To do that, click on the layer that you want to hide bits for and press contour. And then I'm going to go hide all contours to remove everything and press apply. I think that looks much neater now with all of those filled in. I prefer how that's looking, but of course it's up to you, however you want to create your greetings. This is then ready to cut, so connect to your machine and then press make. That will separate out all the colours for you. You can change the paper size in the drop down here, and then you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press continue and get everything cut from cardstock. Fair warning, it does take quite a while to cut this out because there are lots of little shapes around the edge that the Cricut has to cut out from all of the different colours. Some of them have more than others because that's how the layering works, so you can see little bits through at each of the different times. I've got all my pieces cut out and it's ready to stick together. I'll be using mostly just glue because of the amount of pieces. It's going to be quite a thick card already, but also some foam squares for the sentiment. The glue I'm using is Burley Art Glue, but I also like Halal. The reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. First, line up all of the pieces of the border, one on top of the other. You'll know you've got it right because you can see all of your colours in there. Make sure all of the pictures line up nicely so that you can see all the way to the bottom. They aren't 100% symmetrical on both sides, so if you had any of them the wrong way, for instance like that, you can see then the hearts and the butterflies don't quite line up right, and you don't see the colour all of the way through the gaps. So that's why it is important to check and make sure you've got them all right before you start sticking. I'll add it to the base card at the end. I'll start with the bottom one here, which is my plain blue, and then the gold to go on top. Line up the edges as neatly as you can, because this is the same size as the base card, so we want to make sure we don't accidentally go over and then it won't fit in the envelope at the end. I'm using pre-made 5x7 inch envelopes, but I do have free SVGs for envelopes that you can make any size you want available on my website. You can find them in the Foundation Learning section for this craft countdown on the schedule page, and it's also listed out near the top of the written version of the tutorial. Links to both of those are in the description of this video. Next up is my red layer. Now that you're building the colours up, the alignment is even more important, because if it's not aligned properly, you won't see the colours through the holes. And I just stuck that on really badly, so I'm going to try again. That's better. Next up is pink. Ooh, just noticed that little heart hasn't actually cut out all the way. There we go. Then we've got the teal colour. Then silver. And finally the white for the front. There we go, that's all those colours built up. Our border is looking beautiful. Next up, I've got the frame. And you can use foam squares if you want to pop out the bottom of the frame, the white layer, and then glue everything else on top. I think, because we've already got quite a lot of depth, I might just glue it on and actually leave this bit off, because I've used the same colour, so it's still white on white. If you change the colours up, then you would use that bit. But I'm going to keep this nice and simple here. Then it's the silver. And finally the other gold. Then time for the sentiment. First up, let's glue this very thin thank you onto the base. This is where I'm very glad of the thin nozzle on the Burley art glue. Even now, after using my Cricut so much, I get so impressed when it cuts something like this so well. That goes in the middle, and push it down so gently, because I don't want that glue to smush out, although it probably will, because I've not lined that up all together well. But no, we're fine. And then this will go in the middle. I'm going to use foam squares for this, but not put any on the very edge swirls, because they'll go over the frame, which has already stood out a fair bit from my card. Looking lovely. All that's left to do is to fold the base card in half down the score line. If you've got a brayer tool, a bone folder, a scraper tool, or a rolling pin, go down that fold line to get it nice and crisp. And then we'll glue this to the front of the card. It is quite heavy, there's lots of bits of card. You can sort of see how thick it is. So I'll add lots of glue to make sure it won't fall off. And that is now my pre-designed version of the build down background card all finished. Here's how to design your own build down card backgrounds in Cricut Design Space. First, open up Design Space and start a new project with a blank canvas. Decide on the size you want to make your card. I'm going to go for a 5x7 inch card, and to make it a little bit different this time, I'll do a portrait card instead of landscape. Go into shapes and choose a square, and then size this to the front of my card. Click the padlock to open it up so that you can set the width and the height independently. And then we'll change that to a different colour for now. We'll make the full base card that gets folded in half at the end. For now, we're just focusing on the front. I use Cricut Access for the images to build up my card, but you can also use SVGs that you find elsewhere and upload into Cricut Design Space. First up, we'll need some kind of frame to go in the middle. So we're kind of doing the same sort of vibe as the flower card with a frame in the center and pictures around the edge. I kind of want to try doing a dinosaur card. I think that would be really cute. So I am going to go for a dinosaur pattern, which means my frame, I can't really reuse the one from the flower card because that's a little bit flowery, I think, for a dinosaur card. So let's have a look and see what is in here. I may very well end up just keeping it really simple with something like that. I kind of like how that looks in the middle. I wouldn't choose something like that because that would be quite hard to cut from cardstock as it is quite thin. Something like that would work better because although the edges are thin, they're connected to something thicker, so that would be quite nice and you could fill in the colour underneath. So if you were going for the kind of gold vibe that we had in the other card, you could make that a dark gold, and then if you wanted to fill it in, you could duplicate it. Press Alt on a Windows computer or Option with a Mac on your keyboard and then click, and that will make a copy in exactly the same place. So with the one underneath, I could change that to a lighter yellow, go to Contour, hide all contours, but then click the middle bit to open that up again and press Apply. And then we'd end up with a layered frame instead of one colour. That one might be quite nice. Although the Cricut would take ages to cut all those little circles. So maybe not, but I'm going to keep it there as a maybe. You don't need to really be set on anything at this point. We can change it again. It's just to give us a kind of general idea of the space we've got left to design with. I looked through my uploads and I found one of the dinosaur SVGs available in my shop, craftwithsarah.com/products. I'm going to keep him in the middle of my card. I might make him a bit smaller, but for now I'll just put him like that and then build a dinosaur pattern around him. Maybe a little smaller. This is part of my Cute Animals series, and these designs are especially created so that they can cut really well small from cardstock to go on a greetings card. So this one is just over 3 inches on the smaller side, and that will cut absolutely fine. All right, I don't want that one. Might come back to that one, I'm not sure. Now let's take a look at some of the images that could go around the edge. Go back into images and search for dinosaur. For the images to go around the edges, you want them to be fairly simple and easy to cut out because they're going to be small. Now this is a great choice. It's a very simple shape, but it's still obviously a dinosaur. And this one has the same thing. This one is a little bit more complicated. I don't know why everything is loading in so big today. Everything I've tried is just coming in huge. Footprints, that would be a nice little thing. We want a range of different images and icons and things like that. Maybe just one footprint actually would be easier to work with because then I can move it about a bit. So at this point, you're just going in, you're finding images and putting them all around the edge of the card so then you can see what you've got to work with. You need to choose images that are only one colour because they're going to be done as cutouts in the back here. That's probably enough dinosaurs. Actually, I prefer that one to the other one, because we'll repeat some of them around. Let's have some other dinosaur-y type things. Maybe a monstera leaf. Monstera? I'm not sure how you pronounce it. A nice simple one. And I'll use contour to take out that hole in the middle. And That's probably enough pictures. I might end up putting some little circles around too because they're great for filling in smaller gaps. Now let's see how we can work with what we've got here. There's not an awful lot of space around for my pictures. A landscape card might be better, but we'll see. I'll change the colour of that so then we can see our pictures a bit better. Okay, so now it's just a case of getting your images and resizing them and positioning them where you want them to go around the frame. It's okay if you overlap some because I'll show you how to cut it all off at the end. For instance, we could put that little dinosaur there. His tail's going off over the edge, but we'll fix that at the end. One thing you do want to try and avoid though is leaving any little bits of the background. For instance, here, there's the tiniest bit of purple still going up there and then a bit here, and that would then make it really hard for the Cricut to cut. So instead I would either move it over a lot more so that there's more gap here, or move it the other way so then it would cut out that shape but without leaving any little tiny gaps of purple. You can play about with colours at this point too if you want to. Maybe my footprints would be brown. I'll do my leaves in green and the dinosaurs all in black. That could probably be quite small. And again, it's okay to put things over where the frame's going to go. We'll cut that all off at the end. So maybe that's green. This is the bit that takes the time, the working out all of the pictures and where everything is going to go. So what I'm going to do is pause my recording and finish my whole outline, and then I'll come back and show how to join it all together, cut off any bits that need to go, and then cut them out of the card shape to make the build down effect. Here's my dinosaur card front all finished, and before we get into merging it all together, I thought I'd just go through a couple of things that I found when I was designing this, which might be helpful for you doing yours. First up, I made a slight mistake at the start. I forgot to center my frame onto my purple base before I got started, so it was all a little bit off center. So what I'd recommend doing is selecting your frame before you start and the background and going align, vertical and horizontal to make sure your frame's exactly in the middle. If you haven't done that, it's fine. It just means it might be a little bit closer to some edges than others. One thing I found was quite often when I was trying to select one of the pictures, I accidentally selected and moved my background piece by mistake. If you do that, press the undo button at the top and it will put it back into position. If you want to make a copy of any of your layers, click on them and you can press the duplicate button up here. And that's nice because it makes a copy that's exactly the same size. So I used that, I used it for everything anyway, but it was really helpful for all the little circles to make sure that they would all be the same size throughout the whole design, rather than inserting a brand new circle each time and resizing it small. I used the circles to fill in any gaps that I thought looked a little bit empty, but it was too small to fit in another picture, and I kind of like how that looks. It brings everything together with those circles. If you're struggling to move things with your mouse, you can use the arrows on your keyboard to move it about instead, which gives you a little bit more control. Finally, if you're clicking something and you can't find the rotate or the resize, zoom in, and then when you zoom in to make it so it appears bigger, then those options should appear. Sometimes Design Space can hide them on smaller pieces. I've added a little pterodactyl in here, which won't be part of my background. I'm going to cut that from black cardstock and stick it on in the middle, just because I thought that was looking a little bit empty in that space there. So I've put something to fill the hole. Okay, so I think I am all happy for getting my background sorted. Make my dino a little smaller. No, I preferred him bigger. The hard bit is knowing when to stop playing. I'm definitely spending longer on this than I should. Okay, I kind of like that. Right. Okay, save your project now. And then what we're going to do is save it again with a different name. That way you've got this version with all of your images completely separate, ready and saved separately in case you want it again in the future. We'll go save as, I'll call it dinosaur background merged. We'll merge all those pictures together. You can work one colour at a time with your background, but I prefer to do it all at once and then bring the colours back in one at a time. You'll see what I mean as I do this. So first up, hide anything you've got in the middle. So for me, that's my frame, my layered dinosaur, and that pterodactyl here. Then drag a box around everything and press combine and subtract. That will cut everything out. So now you can check, have a real close look around that everything will be cutting out correctly. You've not left any little bits on the sides, nothing's overlapping, you don't think anything's going to be too small. I think that looks pretty good. I don't think any changes will be needed. Duplicate your subtract so that you've got a copy and double click on the name in the layers panel, call it backup and then hide it. If you did want to change anything, you can open the subtract and then that lets you select all of the pictures inside so you can move them, make them bigger, smaller, delete them, add more, whatever you want to do. So I've got my backup hidden in case I need to get back to it. But for this one, we want to join it all together. So we'll go combine and then merge layers. And now this has changed it to one layer that's not editable. And then this will be the top layer of the card. I'll do mine in white, maybe. I might change my mind on that. We'll see. Maybe I'll do it in blue, like a sky kind of thing. It'll be easier to see if I do it in blue anyway. And now we can start filling in the colours and building downwards. So next up, I'm going to do the smallest shapes available because we don't want to cut these out on any more layers than we absolutely have to because they'll take a long time. So for me, that's my circles. I'll duplicate this layer in place by pressing the Alt key on my Windows keyboard. If you're on a Mac, it's Option. Wait for the mouse cursor to change and then click. So I've now got two in the same place. My one underneath, I want my circles to be yellow, so I change that to yellow. You can hide the top one if it makes it easier. And then go into contour. And then I'm going to click all of the circles to fill them in. The list down the right hand side orders everything by size, so I know all of my circles are going to be right at the bottom because they're the smallest thing, but you can also click them over here in the main bit and press apply. Make sure I haven't missed any, which I haven't. So now we've ended up with this. My next layer will be, I could do either the green for the leaves or the brown of the footprints. I'm leaving the dinosaurs till last. They'll be my very bottom layer because they're the biggest elements on there. And also they're going off the edge, which means we can't fill in those colours with contour like we normally would. I will show you how you can do it because your design that you make might have bits going off the side that you want in different colours. For me, as mine is all the bottom bits that I would want, I've made it quite easy for myself, but I will show you the slightly more complicated way of doing it too. All right, but next up, let's do the leaves because they're my next smallest. So this time I want to duplicate in place the yellow, can hide that one, change this one to green and go back into contour. And this time I'm taking out all of the leaves. Even though I've got several different leaf design, I'm just going to cut them all from the same green. I don't want this to be too many layers. I think that's all of them. Yeah. Then the footprints, so we'll duplicate again, change the bottom one to brown and contour out the footprints. Okay, that's looking good. So now we've got this going on so far. So we've got blue on top, yellow, green, and then brown. Then I've got my dinosaurs. So if you're like me and the only bits going off the edge are going to be your very bottom layer, you can do it this nice, easy way. I'm going to go into shapes and choose a square. Make it the size of the card. It's 5 by 7. Go arrange, center back. Drag a box around all of these and press align, vertical and horizontal. And that would fill in all of my dinosaurs. So it's the black rectangle. I could also make my base card, my whole card black, but that would make it quite difficult to write the message on the inside. So that would sit behind, it fills in all of those dinosaurs. But if your bits going off the edge are not on the bottom, then that wouldn't work because you'd need all of the other shapes. So let's pretend that I want to make my some of my dinosaurs, maybe my T-Rexes, or maybe that one, and that one a different colour. Let's hide all of our other ones and duplicate the brown. Now I can't use the contour tool for this. I could hide the dinosaurs that are fully on the colour, but the ones going off the edge, it won't let you fill in because there's nothing to join it to. So what we would do in this case is be a little bit sneaky with a second rectangle. I'll change it to a guide, and then this is going to be my black layer, but black would be a bit hard to see, so we'll make it red just for now. Although actually that pink is not going to show up on red. Grey. Okay, turn everything on. And then we'll draw a box around everything and align it vertically and horizontally. Find that guide and bring it to the front. And then hide everything again. So now we know everything's lined up nicely. Our guide layer, it didn't actually go to the front then. To the front. There we go. Okay, so what we need to basically do is rebuild the edges of the card around all the bits that you want to make a different colour. I'll duplicate in place my guide layer a few times, so I've got a few copies of them, and then keep the bottom one and keep that there. And then drag it in so that it covers the picture you want to fill in, but it must still be perfectly aligned along the edges of the card. I zoom in so this is easier to see. I've now got a box around here and it's still lined up there and there. I can turn on my next guide, and then let's say that's to fill this one in. You don't want it to cover any other pictures, just the one that you're filling, like that. And then that one is already, it's not going over the edge, so that's fine. That's the only one I would need to do. So I can delete those others. And then we can change these back to basic cut, make them the colour we've got here. Then drag a box around all of that, so my grey base layer with the dinosaurs and those two now rectangular shapes, and press combine and then weld. So that's now filled in those two dinosaurs that were going over the edge. We've got nice edges along our cardstock, and I could then hide that dinosaur. Drag it down under the other layers, and then, oh, because I've deleted those, I've also deleted my bottom one. Let's add that back in. 5 by 7, and put that down there. Turn all of them back on and align it vertically and horizontally. So there you go, that's sort of let you see how I filled in those ones that were going off the edge with a different colour. I actually kind of like some of them in grey and some of them in black, or do I prefer them all in black? I'm not sure. I'll keep it there for now, but I might change my mind. And that's the border bit all done. So now we can select all of that and group it and then go arrange, center back, turn everything else back on. And you might need to play about with the positioning again now because we moved things about. So let's grab the frame and the background and align that in the middle. And then I had it nudged up a bit when I did the design. Move them back over. I'm not sure I really like the pterodactyl. I think it's distracting more than adding to it. It's better there actually. Okay, right, now we can start playing about with what we've got in the middle. Maybe dark green for my border. I don't like that it looks really plain in the middle. What shall we do? We can duplicate the border and maybe make it a sort of sandy colour and add a square. Now I'm just kind of playing. This isn't part of the background class. It's just me trying to decide what I want to be in my frame. Weld them together. Move that underneath. So then I've kind of got him sat on the ground with a sky up here. It's still clashing a little bit with the blue around the card. It's a bit much. Maybe if that was white and then duplicate that frame, contour out the hole and have that as blue. I think that's better. The frame was just taking a bit much away. It was drawing the eye away from the middle bit a bit too much before. I prefer that. Okay, I think I'm happy. Right, give it a save. You don't want to lose any of those changes. And now it's not ready to cut. I was about to say it is, but we need to do the base card. So that's nice and simple. I'm going to keep it in white. I like cutting my base cards in white because it means you can write your message straight inside, nice and easy. You could also use a pre-made card blank if you've got any in your craft stash. This is a 5x7 inch card, so we would just need a 5x7 inch pre-made card blank. And if you're doing it in Design Space, the width will be double the width of the card and the height will be the same, so 10x7 for me. And then I will do it in white. Add a score line. This is like what we did for the pre-made card at the start. Align it vertically and horizontally and attach. And then we can center back. All of our card will line up like that. Give it another save. And now this would be ready for me to cut out. We can have a quick look at the layers. I'm not going to cut this out as part of this video because I've already been talking quite a long time, but I will do it and test it and share a photo in the written version of this tutorial, which you can find in the description of this video. Here are all my pieces. You can see all those shapes, how they're all cut out to build all of the shapes downwards. And I've got my little bits for my dinosaur and the frame all there. So there we go, a custom build down border card in Cricut Design Space, all done. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to use my pre-made build down card background and how to design your own in Cricut Design Space. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and card making fun. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 5 of the card making countdown. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!